Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI Interconnect, the podcast where we go deep with the builders and operators shaping AI future in real estate and beyond. I'm your host, Laurent, and today's guest is Vak Sambath, co-founder and CPO at Bestia.ai, a stealth mode platform reimagining every step of the real estate transaction with AI driven lead boards, document automatization, automation, and pipeline management. No fluff, all action. Vak, thank you for joining me. Happy to have you here on the show. How are you today?
My pleasure. I'm doing great, thank you. That was a great summary. Just couldn't have said it better myself. Appreciate that.
uh, I guess not. Okay, that's fantastic. Let's start at the beginning, like I always do. And Vac, you you have managed media, product leadership, and real estate tech before co-founding Bestia. Um, what thread connect all of that, and what led uh, you to tackle real estate biggest manual manual bottleneck with AI?
That's a great question, Laurent. It's just the fabric that brought me here today um, has been more of a combination of my entrepreneurial journey, what I've learned from that, and then the third thing to make things easy is that we are at this inflection point in time where, for myself, I feel that it's an opportunity that no one should miss. Not just myself, but anyone out there who's an entrepreneur. This is a moment that with AI, it levels the playing field for everyone. And I feel that I want to be part of that.
I mean, it's you mirror me. I'm 100%. I'm on it. That's my dream. It's exactly what I'm doing with this podcast, and I understand your objective, and I love it. Was there a light bulb moment, a deal that got stuck in paperwork, or a broker who begged for automation that kick off the idea?
You know, I've never really thought of building things in terms of a light bulb moment. You know, as I, as a product person, you typically observe what consumers do, and you work towards identifying, you know, gosh, what they're doing seems so dated, so antiquated. Is it impossible to help them find a better solution? So that's been the genesis, of my journey so far. When I first realized that, I could become an innovator, I could help solve problems with my first job ever, finishing college, where I was a level one tech support person, and back then, my parents wanted me to become a doctor. So my degree was in microbiology and psychology, and then I decided to switch careers. Parents weren't happy. A lot of things weren't happy, but for me, it's about a new chapter and a new journey in my life, and looking back at, you know, where's my calling? Where's my light bulb? It wasn't a light bulb moment. It was more about the entrepreneur's journey. You know, and this is a term just like that. I recently met a gentleman that put together this book, and I found it very interesting. Entrepreneurs, those that have light bulbs, those exist, but many of us go through this journey just figuring out, tinkering, I mean, even when you look at, actually, like this morning, like I saw a post about the evolution of NVIDIA. It wasn't a light bulb, a singular light bulb moment that, hey, you know what, we're going to build a $3 trillion company. They tried so many different things during so many different eras, and each one of the eras, like I saw in that post, they innovated, they introduced something new. So for me, on this Bestia venture, I've always wanted to get into real estate, and I just didn't know how I can participate, how I could add value to the ecosystem. And then I met my co-founder or partner, and it was 15 months ago. He said, "Vak, I've always wanted to work with you. Let's get together." And then I said, "Yeah, sure. Let's get together. What do you want to build?" "Vak, I've been in real estate for the past 20 years. I've done 1,000 deals, and everything is static and manual." I said, "Well, you're doing well, aren't you?" So he goes, "Yeah, but I'm going to be decimated by AI." I said, "Okay, all right. Tell me more. What makes you fearful?" Because I read the news, I see all these other things. So here you have someone that's looking for a solution rather than building something to identify product market fit. I felt that was one of the key factors in my drive to want to help someone that's looking for help. So then I said, okay, let me understand your process, just so that I can understand what we should build. So we spent about a whole year figuring out what exactly is the problem. So now, to answer your question, the main problem that Bestia is solving for is the fact that out of all the big, large companies out there, it's split into two types. You're either a data company or you're a transaction company. And then we did our research and identified, you know what? There is no true company that actually combines both technology expertise, like data expertise, and transaction expertise. And we asked ourselves, why is that? Well, through our journey is because it's actually really hard. Because once you've been born doing transactions, you continue doing transactions. If you're a company that you were born doing data, you're going to stick to the data lane. And as you grow, the company becomes more complex. And you've got more decision makers, and you've got clients, and you've got technical debt. So I feel that could have been our aha moment, where, you know what? We can compete. That was the aha moment. Can we build something that we feel that we can compete? Well, that's that story, with the old saying of like David versus Goliath. Being smaller, you're agile, you're flexible. That's how you win. Being bigger, you have more inertia. It takes you a while to move. You're not as reactive. So how I would answer that question was more so figuring out what exists today, and then where we can position ourselves that we can compete.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, you've been thinking for more than a year. Um, your partner is in a business for 25, 20 years and very successful, and never need anything because he's doing great by himself. But you always, maybe you can always do better. And by his experience, um, you find a way to maybe combine data and transaction. And then Bestia comprises, I think, three pillars: Bestia Leads, Bestia Docs, and Bestia Pipeline. Um, Walk us through each. How do you guide a broker or a brokerage from cold lead to close deal without having staff?
Great question. So, so I like how you broke these things down. So in the real estate space, whether you're an agent, broker, or investor, everyone, most of the folks in the industry, I wouldn't say looking for leads, but looking to help people either buy or sell a home. So finding the right person that raises their hand and say, "Hey, I need help." That's always been a challenge, and the market is segmented into a few ways: referrals, agents and brokers looking for referrals. Now, if you're in the business, that's looking to scale, well, referrals is only one segment of the market. And then you've got PPC, and then you have PPL, pay per leads. And then what I realize is that that's a commodity. Everyone pays for stuff. You can be different and provide great service to get referrals. But that becomes kind of like passing the butter. This is what you have to do. Provide great service. So getting leads, I guess, one part. But I realized the other challenge that investors or professionals in the real estate space is about access to data. And today, the access to data it is walled garden to licensed agents and brokers. For the rest of us, how we access real estate data is going through the major platforms like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. So there's this gap in detailed data and general public data, and the source of truth for everyone is Zillow these days because they're the biggest in the market. In order to do a deal, there's no true intelligence about deal making, because with Zillow, it's essentially a giant poster board. Look at my house. Here are my say amenities. Look at the prices going up. My neighborhood's going up. But there's no insight. We realize that how do you quantify how much is this property truly worth? How do you get the insights if this is the right price? Zillow has their Zestimate. But generally, when people buy a property, they land on a negotiated price. So we realize, how do we help investors or agents kind of figure out how to negotiate? So it boils down to data. Do you have access to the data? And then the other challenge we realized was that, wow, doing the data integration, did you know that the MLS data is entered by agents and brokers manually? So a lot of agents and brokers are motivated by, how well the property can be sold. So, and then also when people enter in data, guess what? People misspell, they mistype, they omit things. And and along the way, we realize there's actually no system of record that truly data hygienes this. It's actually a hard problem to solve for. Everywhere we go, in terms of real estate agents and investors, so agents, brokers, and investors, it's more like they just accept, what's been given to them. It just is. The data's bad. Yeah, I know, but But what I care about is talking to the individual, the homeowner, and that's truly where they get their source of data. And they just use the MLS data or the real estate data that they currently have to kind of just confirm. And then everything else is in their head. They track everything in their head manually. Most people are using spreadsheets, or if they're not using spreadsheets, they're using a hodgepodge of different systems. So how do you manage that? How do you manage your pipeline? Again, most people just accept like as is. They just don't. The sophisticated ones feel empowered, and they say, look at me, I've got 5 different systems and I've got a whole team. But at the end of the day, they don't want 5 different systems. They would love to have one system that rules them all, like a super app. These days, everyone's talking about super app. Zillow is looking to do a super app as well. But from our survey, we haven't heard anyone truly solving for that. And then like once you talk to the homeowner, the other challenge was the documentation, filling out the forms, getting someone to agree to something, to approve document or paperwork. That's also a separate system, and it's a headache. Or did you know these days people still print papers? And I've learned from our survey that the paper themselves, who keeps track of the filing? You know, they print the paper just to get the wet signature, and then they do the deal. It's just, and the paper's gone. That's it. So what you describe are generally the 3 main pillars of a real estate transaction. Getting the lead, and once you get the lead, what do you do with that? How do you manage your pipeline? How do you get the business intelligence to do something with it, to take action? And then once you can take action, how do you manage what actions you've taken? And how do you learn from them going forward? The Bestia system combines all of that. So lead gen, pipeline management, and also the insights within that, because we have data now. And then managing and tracking and helping to identify deal types. Oh, based on the worth, the O and the want, especially in terms of timeline, the repairs. Not only that it just manages documents, but our autograph feature or system goes above and beyond like DocuSign. Imagine if DocuSign was intelligent, where it recommended which types of document you should be using. Where DocuSign was, well, instead of DocuSign, where the system that has your files. Oh, hey, Laurent, based on this location, based on what the user's looking for, this is the document that you need. There isn't a system like that.
Yeah. It sounds AI. There's AI stuff in it.
You know, if you notice, I didn't use AI at all during my during like our chat so far. That's because to me, where the industry excels very well at the moment is the fact that there's AI, whereas generative AI versus agentic AI. So generative AI like is a generative response, where agentic AI is autonomous tasks. For us, we want to focus on the autonomous tasks, having the system be your assistant, be your true co-pilot, just like what I just mentioned. Based on your conversation with the homeowner, hey, Laurent, this is the contract. the agreement that you should be using. That's assisting you. Now, for AI to be both generative and agentic, we'll have to combine the two and start thinking about chain of thought, reasoning. I don't feel for the industry within real estate we're there yet, but that's going to be our North Star. That's we feel, my partner and I feel that, what we're building towards where the hockey puck is going to be going, where Bestia as a system with source of truth data, with the agentic systems in the future, it will help you where you become the co-pilot to the AI. So you're guiding the AI instead. That's where we're looking to go, rather than the AI guiding you, because what would the AI know about deals anyways? You're still learning, or it's still learning. You're still teaching it. You're still giving it chain of thought, the reasoning and rationale. So if anything, that's why how we've put together our mantra is it's AI native. Foundationally, it's about collecting the data, pre-training the model, but human led. Let the human, or let the individual like ourselves and say, this is what you should do with this. So the human is training the AI where eventually the AI will say, hey, Laurent, says, I've got this customer here. What do you think I should do? You should be flipped. So that's how we feel that what we're going to be building, or what we're building, will be better and eventually different.
I love it. Okay, that's great. I love to tackle a little bit the challenges, and no startup roadmap is a straight line. What have been the toughest challenges? Regulatory variability across states, data security, or broker skepticism. That could be a good point also.
Well, so I can break them down this way. The incumbents would say, well, a data platform already exists. Oh, I can already do this with my existing systems. I can already manage my pipeline like of leads. I can already get leads. So it's this stigma that I'm good. I'm making money already. And I kind of compare people's response to that as in like, did you know with AI, there could be a Blockbuster moment, a Kodak moment? Did you know that you can be obsolete with AI if you do nothing? Kodak enjoyed their IP, enjoyed decades of market dominance. And so did Blockbuster. The failure to innovate should scare you. And I dare you to feel that if you don't change, you're going to have FOBO, which means that you should have fear of being obsolete, not FOMO. Because the people that say, I've got this system already, they don't have FOMO. They don't miss out. Well, the way people should see this new paradigm, this new generational shift, is that, like, for example, this week, Microsoft announced another another $8,000 in layoffs. Last year, all the major corporations like, no, like we're just testing AI out. We're figuring these things out. We're going to tinker. But if you notice, in the first half of this year, there's been more layoff announcements, and the rhetoric like has been this way. We've started using AI and we've been optimizing our business. You know, we are optimizing overlaps, duplicate work. You know, it's rhetoric. But I tell you, for anyone answering, you know what, I'm good. If you don't feel that you're going to be obsolete, give it 5 years. Remember, it could happen to AOL. It could happen to Yahoo. Heck, right now, Google's feeling it. You have this small startup in 2022, I believe, called Perplexity. No one cared about it. I've got 60%, 70% of the search market share. People are going to always want to go to Google. What makes you different in terms of your business that you feel that someone's not going to eat your lunch? So the way I see it is that what we are building is for the everyday real estate individual that wants to be relevant, stay relevant, wants to grow their business. It's great that you have assets already, but if this is your business and you're looking to do more transactions and be able to compete in the future, you want to be able to go where the future is going, not wait until the future comes and you're left behind.
It's true. No, you're right. I'm talking about the layoff, Microsoft layoffs, and many others. Testing the market, testing AI. There's ethics or human oversight, and you automate documents and conversation, but people still hold pen and paper, pen and a phone. How do you keep AI a collaborator and not replacement?
You know, I feel that just like when the internet happened, people thought that brick and mortars are going to be gone. Well, there's Amazon and there's still Walmart, brick and mortar. You know, the e-commerce space. Oh my God, you know, less people like are going to go to the stores. You know what? There's going to be a market shift. That's true. But that's true with every innovative era. But one thing that I've also learned as well is that for every era that innovates, they also create. You're going to create new jobs, new skill sets. You're going to want to learn new skill sets. But it doesn't mean that we don't write on pens anymore. We don't write using pens on paper anymore. I feel those are necessary in a physical world. But when you have AI, it's going to augment what you do with a pen and paper. Once you write down your notes, you can scan that, or with applications these days, you take your phone and you just let your camera visually or view it, and you automatically transfer your writing over to some sort of document, over to some sort of system. So if you're a real estate agent, you can still go visit like your homeowner. You can still get a wet signature, but you'll be able to launch one of our apps and let it view the agreement, and magically it's now digitized. So if anything, the innovation these days, being able to recognize images, being able to recognize conversations, extract conversations, it's a force multiplier. of humans. It's no different than when the tractor was invented. The farmers didn't go away. They were just able to produce more. So with AI, you'll be able to produce more, just like what it did to the farmers, just like what the tractors did with farmers.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. You're right. Yeah, that's going to be beautiful. with with a lot of sensitive data flying through your pipeline. What privacy and security guardrails are non-negotiable at Bestia Design?
That's a great question. I feel that, with data privacy, that's always going to be a question for any company. It's about your policies. It's about following the policies of, for example, we're in California. It's about following the California private policies. It's about if you're in, say, Europe, GDPR. So we incorporate best practices. Whether you're on a call recording, just like how Zoom does this, is that you notify the individual. But I feel that in the future, kind of like what you've seen with Google updated their Google Glasses, Snap is updating to a new version of their Snap spectacles, and Meta just announced a better version, a longer version of video recording with the Oakley glasses today. I feel to be responsible with privacy is to make sure you have a policy to notify your consumers what they're getting themselves into. These days, it's not just in the hands of the organization, but also the responsibility is with the consumers too. I feel that everyone should have a right to know, and everyone should have a right to decide, do you want to use this application? Is this application for you? Remember when Twitter first started, everyone thought that it was invasive of their privacy.
Sure.
Oh, why should I let everyone know exactly what I'm doing? Or when you authorize your browser, or you download an app, by default, these apps, you've enabled to allow them to record your voice, to record your actions. So long as those policies are clear to the user, and the user decides on their own to use that application, I feel the responsibility should be both in terms of being clear on what the application is going to do, and for the user is your responsibility to accept that by using this application, you are, I wouldn't say giving up, but you are allowing the application to do XYZ, so long as the company tells you exactly what they're doing, to make it fair, to be fair.
Makes sense. Love it. Um, let's let's imagine a flagship client. What will be their process before, or what was the process before what they automated with Bestia, and the concrete result? Um, Time saved, deal closed faster, less error eliminated. Is that what we can expect? Any metrics you can share, maybe, or not, or yet?
When you're running a business and everyone competes with you in that same business, you look at the speed you look at, well, you can get to it, but your process itself, is it efficient or is it inefficient? The industry is inundated with process inefficiencies, and that is one of the core that we tackle. How can we help optimize and connect all the dots? Why are they inefficient? Because of separate systems that you log into one, and then go into another, and then you stitch it, manage together, and then as a result, you now use an Excel spreadsheet or a homegrown system. That's not scalable. And then for the typical business person itself is that, everybody wants to get more deals. How do you help someone in the space get more deals? It's almost like how Facebook built the audience, and then the audience themselves are able to consume off the platform. Our audience will be the real estate investors, and how we create a sticky platform is remove the friction, remove the frustrations, provide a super app where it's a one-stop solution without segregated apps. It's just like, and you do that within like an environment that streamlines processes, not separate systems. So I feel like the other part is that once you know the foundational layer of like integration and a super app is, how can you make me better, smarter, faster? And that's where we go into the agentic systems and the AI. These days, all of the things that we could only imagine 10 years ago can happen. Can you take notes for me? Okay. Can you tell me what to do next? Okay. Can you fill out this form for me? Okay. Can you recall what I said 10 days ago? Can you help me identify what I did wrong? Can you recommend, what should I have done better? Not wrong, but what could I have done better based off of my response to the seller? So feedback. To like our competitors, the incumbent themselves, and here's what I mentioned earlier, which is they've got a bunch of technical debt. They're not AI native first. We are. So there's a lot of components that we ask ourselves is, like, as I mentioned, when Michael and I started this, how can we compete? How can we be two guys looking to compete against the Goliaths of the world? And how we started doing that was, was a customer first product build, not a technology. So, like, as I mentioned, I've been describing more about the problems that that the industry faces versus about how great the technology that we have. Because I feel that for any great product, it starts with the customers and what they're looking for. And my co-founder and I started with that thesis where he was the customer, or he is the customer. He's telling me the problems, and he's saying there are a bunch of people like me. So we did not start with technology first. We started with the customer first. And that's how we feel that we can be building something that improves the customer's lives, make someone's life better, make their professional life better. By saving time, they now can spend more time with their family. that's making lives better.
Yeah, that's great. That makes a lot of sense, and that's I love it. And you have built, and you said before, the base layer for real estate workflows. And what's your roadmap for the next 2 years? New markets. I mean, you started, but you need to go deeper MLS integration, maybe some kind of partnership, white label. Um,
You know,
any thought on this?
oh, plenty, but I don't know if I have a deep enough crystal ball to see 2 years out.
Yeah,
You know, it's
things move
it,
so fast.
yeah, things move so fast these days. I mean, it's wishful thinking. I feel that to be competitive, you have to be agile first and then goal oriented next. Because you can be goal oriented, but you move really slow. And these days, you know, like even like in the market, you know, there there are companies like that focus on quality, which works, you know, but eventually someone's faster and grows bigger. How can you have both? With the state that we're at these days, I look at where we can be in 3 months, in months, not years. Because when new technology comes out, you got to ask yourself, am I competitive? Is the technology like that I've used or am using or integrating enables me to be competitive? I feel that one needs to be, like as I mentioned, agile first, and then identify with that given agility, does it get you to the next leg of the relay? If I were to break down your 2-year time frame, I'd break them into quadrants. Every 6 months, I think
Yeah,
it's a fair assessment where I can tell you right now we have 6 months. I work backwards that way. In 6 months, I would like for us to be able to be one of the first or the leading platforms to be able to combine real estate data and real estate transaction, because that currently does not exist. And if it does, that's great. That means it's confirming that there's a market, and with AI, there's going to be plenty of ways for businesses to flourish, to make money, to exist and coexist. But speaking for Bestia, our goal within 6 months is to be the first to have a we usually don't, you know, don't prefer like the label of, you know, prop tech, because we're more than prop tech, because the technology is about solving problems for people, you know, because the people that we help with our platform, they're going through a divorce, they inherit a property, they want to downsize because like their kids left their home. There are properties out there. That's why when you look at a data company, they just provide the data. There's no empathy. There's there's no like applying, hey, with this data we can help you get into, you know, a better home, a better situation. Or when you're focusing on transactions, you don't have the insights on, you know what, how can we make your life better? It's more about, let's get the deal done. So for us, like, we feel that when combining the two, you'll have more information on how to solve, or you'll have more information on how making people's lives better. And that's why, it's just like, we're not just a technology company. That's why I don't like the term prop tech, because it's referring to just technology and not people.
That's true. Yeah, people. We have to take care of the people.
Absolutely.
How,
Absolutely.
how do you plan to balance stealth mode with the need for early adopter case study and revenue?
Connect with people. So to me, just like one of the like things like we mentioned, starts with the customer first. So our plan currently has been reaching out to the community, the real estate community, and then the same exact fundamentals that my co-founder and I got together, and I learned about his process, and he's asking me about how can you help. That's my fundamental thesis when I'm in the community. I'd love to learn about what you're doing. Is this helpful? If you had your wish, what would you wish for? If I gave you 3 wishes, or if someone gave you 3 wishes, not me, take me out of the equation. If someone can come to you and say, you know what, I'm your genie, and I can help you with what you're doing, like in your business, what would that be? And I feel that not many people are going into the community and asking how they can help, versus people focusing on what products that they can sell you, or or there's this stigma, like, where you know you get into real estate, and and you could have the best life ever, because real estate, like, is the most valuable asset class. It's generational wealth. There's a school of thought that, like, once you get into real estate, money, it's like you win like the lottery. And me being part of the community, I've heard many people struggle. It's just, even real estate agents, 80% of real estate agents aren't as active because it's tough.
Yeah.
Who's helping them? Who's listening to them? To me, this is where we start with, as mentioned, the customer and the community first. Because I feel that once we can, I don't want to use the word win, more so have the validation that our customer says that this is what they want, this is what they've been looking for, and this is what they need. I feel the product is going to grow based on demand, because we want to find if you truly need this. Now, how do you go to market with that? Well, we go to market with happy customers. That's how I would, answer that question.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Then on the funder side, if another funder, I ask you today, um, how do I break into a legacy industry resistant to change? Um,
Oh, wow.
what one piece of advice would you give?
Can you repeat that question one more time? Because that's actually a great question,
How
but I want to make sure that
how
I
do
understand it clearly. It's actually a great question.
how do I how do I break into a legacy industry resistant to change for his purpose only?
For other founders, is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's another funder asking you this, and I want you, if you
You,
can give him a piece of advice.
like, what I found that's been pretty effective is develop a craft that you can master. Because when you are a legacy system, if you see the system as a large entity, the larger you get, the more general you become. Like, for example, Amazon, huge fulfillment, or like Nike. Yeah, actually, that's a good example. Nike, huge company, and then you have up and coming shoe company like Hoka, like On. You know, they like, for example, Hoka specialize in being the best walking running shoe. Unlike Nike is a shoe company for everybody. So Hoka's craft was, we built the best walking running shoes. And it becomes a premium. Once you're the best at that, people pay for premium. People pay for solutions. People don't pay you to guess that what you're building is going to solve my problem. People pay for you to know that, hey, I can solve your problem. And the way you do that is by being a subject matter expert. So what me and my co-founder have done is we focus on our ability to be subject matter experts in real estate transaction automation, because it doesn't exist. So one, we're going to be new to the market. Two, we'll be subject matter experts into the market. Three, we're going to educate the market with happy customers.
That's great. Love it. And something personal. In fact, what's inspiring you these days? Any book, frameworks, a mentor fueling your next move?
Wow, that's a loaded question, by the way. What I've learned through my entrepreneur journey is that you always have to be a student,
Learning.
And having a mentor is great. But if you don't learn from your mentor, or reading books is great too. It says, like, there's a book called Inspired. I love that book. There's other books like that, more generalized, The One Thing. That's a great book. I can go on and on about books and what have you, but after like I read the book, like, I nod to myself, yeah, that's right, that's cool. But I also found myself sometimes, you have this euphoric moment and then it fizzles out. You do nothing with it. So to me, these days, it's almost like the amalgamation of everything like that I see as a student of life, as a student of being an entrepreneur. So I learned from my co-founder. Him and I are like the yin and yang. He's got real estate. I've got tech. He's got sales acumen. I've got data integration, acumen and so forth. And I can tell him, look at all the cool integrations that we can do. But I'm not learning then. I'm telling him what I know. Instead, hey, Michael, talk to me about what you're doing and what you need. Now I'm asking him, and I'm going to be listening. And as I'm listening, I'm learning. Oh, I see what's going on. You know what? Here's what you can do with it. So you have to ask the question so you can learn, and then process and think, and you put these things together. So to answer your question, I don't have anything very specific, but more so to be open. And I actually have one thing like that I've been learning from my co-founder, you know, where we're like as I mentioned, like our yin or yang. I've learned to not tell people how much I know, like as I mentioned, but look, he went to Etsy and printed this for me. This is why finding or working with a co-founder, you have to have the best relationship, is that we complement each other. So
Makes sense.
I feel
Well,
learning is one thing, but in the entrepreneur's journey, when you find the right co-founder that can add value to you and be additive to your journey, that's a keeper.
definitely. Although the question only is perfect. Is listening. Listening is a
Yeah.
great learner.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
this has been, yeah. Tell me.
no, I was going to say, I mean, you know, like the questions portion, he told me, you know, ask questions and stop,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
active listening is so hard because everybody wants to interrupt each other. Ask a question and stop. And these days, it's one of my habits that I've been working on. Ask a question and stop.
Yeah, because it's not easy. As a matter of fact,
It's not.
look, we just ripped up just
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Now,
You know, I mean, it's been very helpful. You know, since like before this, since when I was growing up, I used to have a stuttering problem because I was so driven by wanting to tell people all the stuff that I know that physically I couldn't catch up, but my mind was going at 100 miles an hour. And I didn't realize that, you know what you needed to do? Slow down,
yeah,
take a deep breath, and just ask questions and learn. And then your knowledge, have it take a back seat. That's what I did. I had my knowledge take a back seat, Laurent.
yeah.
And that's been
I
hard.
love this. Yeah,
But I'm loving every moment of it, though.
I no doubt. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. This has been an eye-opening look at how AI can entangle real estate's toughest workflows. And thanks for your conversation, for your candor, for sharing both your wins and your brutal lessons. And thank you, Vak.
Thank you, Laurent. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
It was a great conversation. Um, where can anybody can find you? Talk about your company and have some information.
Currently, we are in stealth mode, Bestia.ai, but anyone can find me on LinkedIn. It's just my handle is at Vak Sambath. My first name, last name.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vak, and I'm sure we'll do another episode like in a year from now, and or 6 months. We go by quarter.
Yeah,
Time goes
absolutely.
so fast. Thank you.
Then
That's
this
it for.
phenomenal.
Yeah, we definitely will do it, and there would be many, many, many changes, and I can't wait to see that. It was great having you, and that's it for today's episode of AI Interconnect. And if you enjoyed it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thank you.